Hi, I'm Daniel Metler from Tusik Internet Solutions, and in this short video, WebAPI 2.2, I want to show you how to make your own tiny admin tool specifically for your customers so that they could process feedback or something without needing to understand the complexity of DNN. We're going to work on the example you already saw in the previous video and just build on that. So let's get started. What we're going to do here is we're going to look at the admin UI. We're going to see how it was made because it uses a simple Razor template. The reason why we're using Razor here is because this is a very simple example and we're not using AngularJS, which would make client-side development simpler. But to keep the learning curve flat, we're first going to go with an example without Angular. So we're going to create the table in Razor. Then we're going to look at what the JavaScript does in the client, what the server does, and a simple, an update status of an item and delete an item kind of a request. Then we're going to look at the wire and discuss how you can adapt it to your needs. So let's go and see it live. This is the form that we added last time. If we go look for everybody that didn't watch previously, we downloaded this app from TooSexy.org, the apps, and if you add the tag WebAPI, you'll see a short list with only 4 or 5 apps, and we're looking at the feedback form without AngularJS, the simple one. So this looks like this currently. It's this form. I can submit things. And so we're just going to add another app. We're going to say, okay, I want to use the feedback form. And the default view is the form itself, but we actually want the review feedback view. So that's it. We see feedback that's been added previously. So new feedback, very new. This is not a question. And what is this about? We're going to send that. You see it was already sent. Now, of course, it doesn't appear here yet because the page needs to be reloaded for that. So let me just reload the page. And you'll see this is the new feedback, very new. I can click on this button to look at the feedback. So this would be very simple functionality. I can press this button here, complete, which will set the new status to completed. Let's do that. And this message appears because my code says I just changed the data, but you're gonna have to refresh the page. It's because it's a very simple example. We're trying to teach you something here. It would be much sexier if it reloaded it automatically, which is what we do on the AngularJS example. But here, I'm just trying to teach you the basics, so I have to press OK, it'll reload it, and it now says completed. I can also go ahead and delete it. Again, it says I just deleted it, but you need to refresh it, which we'll do now, and it's gone. So let's see what happens in the background. I'm going to look at the review feedback. Here is the folder that is installed when you add the app. We're going to look at the feedback controller in the API folder. And we're going to look at the review feedback CSS.html, which is this one. So what we have here is a simple HTML table and a loop, which will just show all the feedback items inside this app's data. Right? Simple. It'll add the standard little toolbar that creates the button to open the entire entity. It'll show me the number, it'll show me the title, the status, and it'll add 2 lines of script with the JavaScript commands for making sure it gets deleted and completed. What does it look like down here? Let's look at the completed. It calls the TooSexy content controller. It'll go to the feedback controller called the complete. And if everything works well, it'll then, here's the then, do a show OK and reload, which is that message which says, I just did it, but I have to reload. Delete the same thing, call the controller, do the feedback delete, and if everything works, show OK and reload. Very simple. Let's look at what happens in the background, right? So I click on completed, or let's do the delete first. Let's look at the delete. It calls feedback delete, which means it's actually calling the feedback controller and the command delete, this one here. Delete expects a number, an ID, and it will then just go to the app data and delete the ID. Very simple. The complete does a bit more. It also just expects the ID, and it'll make a package like an instruction saying, I want a change. The status should now be completed, and this change should be applied to the content item with this ID. So you see, you could do things like this on your own. You could add more parameters here. Like you could say I'm also expecting a string like a new title, and add that to your stuff. Or many other things. So you can just extend this to your needs, and this is how it works. So let's look at what happens on the wire. I'm going to go back to this form here, and I'm going to get Fiddler just to watch. It's blank right now, and I'm going to say, let us delete this one here. Oh, I didn't tap. Okay, delete. So it says everything worked. I'm not going to refresh yet. So just this one single request was sent. You see delete on the feedback delete, and here's the ID that was passed in. Very simple, and it's easy to understand. As a result, we're not really expecting anything. So if we look at the text view, that's going to be empty because it just deleted it, and it doesn't have anything else to do. But if we look at the headers, sorry for that. If we look at the headers, it just returns an HTTP 200 something saying, yes, everything worked, but I have no content to answer. And the rest then happens in JavaScript, which will then reload everything. That's what happens on the wire. So this is just a security message. Don't worry about that. Okay, here we go. In the next few videos, I'm going to explain more what the HTTP verbs mean. Get, delete, post, things like that. I'm going to explain more about security, routing, and debugging. Very important topics. So I'm looking forward to seeing you then. I hope you liked this video. This was Daniel Mettler for 2SIG Internet Solutions and the DNN community. Thank you for watching.